All right, hello everyone. How's everyone doing? Good? All right. So, welcome. Today we're going to talk about financial aid. I'm going to begin, and for those who know me, I'm Debbie Guerrero, one of the directors of college counseling here representing the department. Today we're going to focus on financial aid. There are going to be two components. One that I'm going to quickly lead. It's going to be short and sweet, but a quick introduction to the CSS profile, which is one of the ways that you can apply for financial aid. And then for the rest of the time, I'm going to allow our friends here from UNLV to help us and walk us through the FAFSA, the application process, and how to do that. So thanks for joining us and helping us lead this. So the reason why we're doing the CSS profile, and I'm going to start with that, it's going to be, again, quick bit of introduction, and please feel free to, at any point, if you want to work closely with us on CSS profile applications and all that, please set up a meeting. We're happy to support individually as well. The CSS profile is a little bit more complex than the FAFSA, and so I think it is helpful to meet individually as well to go over it. But the main reason why we're introducing it now is so that you're aware that this thing exists. I mean, sometimes you go through the whole application process and you don't realize that this is something that might be in your interest completing. So the CSS profile, which is a college board site. So it's part of the college board, you know, where the students take the SAT, the AP test, and all of that. It's part of that same group. So students log in using their information for college board. The website looks something like this. It's a little bit different now, different years, but it still says the same thing. Sign in for this. It's going to be the current years. And once you log in, you're going to see the participating institutions. One thing you're going to notice is that these are all private institutions. So the schools that work with the CSS profile are going to be your typical private liberal arts leaning schools. Those are the ones that are generally going to have a CSS profile. Why? Because what happens with the CSS profile is, unlike the FAFSA, which is federal money, the CSS profile is financial aid that comes from the institution. So if you're applying to, let's say, to FAFSA or to Amherst, it's not the government giving you money, it's Amherst giving you money, or Babson giving you money, right? So this is the way that they sort of like FAFSA investigate your financials to see whether or not they should support financially. So like we said, typically private institutions, you apply through the cssprofile.collegeboard.org. Again, normally this is done through the account of the student. Every single student of ours has a College Board account, so you can reach that. You can quickly Google CSS profile and you're going to be able to apply as well. So the reason why I said in the beginning too that it can be a little bit more complex, it's because they get a little bit more intrusive. They do ask more about the assets. So they generally the CSS profile can be more meticulous in its approach to investigating the finances of the family. So it does happen at times that families are completing the CSS profile. It's like, okay, I think they're asking way too many questions. It's normal. They just want to make sure that they're giving the right amount of money to the right people. So that's why the CSS profile is like that. So the CSS profile, everybody who's related, who's a parent, an adoptive parent, a step parent, has to contribute to the CSS profile as well. So everybody who's part of the life of the student should be creating a CSS profile and including their information there as well. So what are the type of information that you need to complete the CSS profile? Well, like we said, you log in through the normal College Board account from the students. Parents will create their own accounts as well to do it. But normally what we need are, tax returns, W-2 forms, records of untaxed income, bank statements, mortgage information. When they ask about net worth, this is, again, the value of the assets minus anything you owe. They do ask about, the value of your home. Please do not overestimate. This is not, it's not in your interest to overestimate anything in this case, right? So, keep it at the value that seems to be within reason, right? Also, don't say that it's not, but, you want to make sure that you are presenting information that is not overestimated. I think a lot of people go that direction, and of course it's not to their benefit, right? So records of savings, stocks, bonds, trusts, documentation, special circumstances for expenses, medical expenses, things like that. Have a parent complete a non-custodial profile if necessary. This step only applies if your parents are divorced, separated, and your school requires the non-custodial profile, which is very typical. Most schools will. So to submit the CSS profile, it's between $25 and $16 to send to each of the colleges, right? So you create one CSS profile, and then you'll be able to send it to different colleges, but each college that you add, you'll have to pay the fee for that. Some institutions may require additional steps to the CSS profile, but they will, later let you know. So what is considered an asset that has to be reported? As we went on the CSS profile, is basically home equity, retirement, savings, and assets owned by divorced parents and siblings. All of them is counted. So it is difficult to exclude a parent even if they are not custodial parents. So these are some of the ways that the assets are assessed. What is reportable versus not reportable? I think this mostly applies to the FAFSA, so I'm gonna, but in the CSS profile, home equity, retirement savings are all counted. In the FAFSA, it changes a little, though it has changed, so this is a little bit outdated. But anyway, that's a quick introduction to the CSS profile. Again, I cannot urge you enough if this is something of interest and you plan on applying and doing the CSS profile, please set up a meeting with us. We're happy to, guide you in the process with the CSS profile. It is, I believe, a relatively intuitive process, but it can have its challenges. And if you have any questions, we've seen it for many years, so we have some experience with it, and we're happy to assist in any way we can. And we know that circumstances are often complex. We're happy to discuss any circumstances that are complex. There are appeals and different things that we can do in certain situations. So just please, if there's any complexity or any interest in continuing to work with the CSS profile, please just set up a meeting with the college counselors and we'll be happy to assist. So with that, I will give now the protagonism to our friends here from UNLV.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming down. It means a lot for the parents, especially, to come down on behalf of their students. That means that you care, right, about their future. So appreciate all of you coming down, taking the time out of your evening to learn a little bit more about financial aid. My name is Lester. I'm a financial aid counselor here over at UNLV. I'm joined by.
I've met most of your kids at this point, but I'm the admissions counselor attached to Meadows from UNLV. Lester and I are a team here, so we're a part of our tri-team. So this is what, if you guys have any questions about financial aid, I'll be talking to Lester. If you guys have any questions about admissions, it'll be to me as well. I'm here for your admissions side. If you guys have any questions about that, I can help out a little bit with FAFSA, but not a ton. And then if you guys have any questions at all about making your applications or anything like that with UNLV, I'm here for that as well.
Absolutely. All right. So, We can go about this one of two ways, and I can kind of put it up to you guys. I do have a presentation I could give you guys, if majority of you guys would like, or we could just jump straight in to doing the FAFSA. What would you guys kind of prefer, if you have a preference? Your presentation. Okay, here, I'm here, which was your presentation? I can go ahead and pull that up. I just need maybe 2 minutes to log in and pull it up. But I can go ahead and definitely give you guys a presentation, more information, for sure.
Okay, so I guess we'll just go over a little bit of an overview about what we're going to be talking about, why we're talking about it. So the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, this is required for students to fill out if they would like to get federal aid from UNLV. When we're talking about this, I'm going to be referencing, Lester is going to be referencing for UNLV specific. Most of this can be very general when it comes to other schools as well. But because Lester and I are more expertise in UNLV, the way that we work like that, that's what we're going to talk about it for. So for the FAFSA, again, it is required for students, especially first-year students, to fill out the FAFSA this year. Our priority deadline is November 15th. First-year students are also required to fill out the institutional aid application. We'll also be going over that a little bit as well. The institutional aid application is UNLV specific. So if your kid is not interested in coming to UNLV, or if they want to go to a different school, do not worry about the institutional aid application. However, if your kid does want to come to UNLV and is considering it, the institutional aid application is required. The institutional aid application is very similar to the FAFSA. It's going to ask for FAFSA adjacent questions. However, it is only going to be information that UNLV has. It will not be going anywhere else. It will be staying in-house with us. It will not be going to any other institutions or to any other companies. It will be staying with us. So that's what we're going to be going over a little bit today. Looks like Lester was able to pull up that presentation, so I'm going to move it on over to him.
Alrighty, so here we are. Financial aid 101, right? How to pay for college? That's a great question. Well, sometimes it's a good idea to kind of have a checklist of stay organized, what's going on. So basically, ensure you're meeting all the deadlines, whatever college you're going to, whether it be UNLV or another college. Keep all the deadlines kind of in order. That's one of the most important things in my mind. You have no idea how many students come into my office asking, why didn't I get this scholarship? Why didn't I get this financial aid? It's because they did their things a little bit too late, a little bit after the priority deadlines, okay? As Seth mentioned, UNLV's priority deadline for FAFSA is November 15th, okay? So just make sure you know and understand all of whatever college you're going to, all of their deadlines, okay? FAFSA deadlines, admissions deadlines, external scholarship applications, okay? And then of course, actually submit the financial aid application, right? We're gonna talk about the FAFSA today. It opened today, actually opened a few days ago. And then of course, just stay connected, regularly check my UNLV, if you're going to the UNLV, and Enrollment Success Hub, and of course respond to any and all communications we send to you. I know it may seem like spam, but trust me, it's all important, I promise. Now, if you're thinking of going to UNLV, this is just some of the tuition prices. So if you're in-state, these prices are based off students enrolling 15 credits. So in-state students can expect, on average, around $10,954 tuition for a year. It's for a year. And if you're out of state, a little bit more. Now, these are the different types of financial aid you can expect to receive if you complete a FAFSA. Okay, there's 3 main types. There's granted scholarships, okay? That's free money. That's money that does not have to be repaid. There's student and parent loans, okay? That is borrowed money. You must repay loans. And then there's student employment or work study, right? It's what it sounds like. It's you work as a student and you get paid. And that money is your financial aid. These are some UNLV scholarships. Again, if you're thinking of going to UNLV, these are some of the UNLV scholarships. Each of them have some different criteria to be eligible for, but basically all of them, or almost all of them, require you to at least do the FAFSA. Okay, so that's why the FAFSA is so important. Whether you think you're going to get anything federally or not, it's still a good idea to do a FAFSA for scholarships. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about some of these in the next slides. But the Millennium Scholarship is a pretty big one. Okay, so If your student is planning to go to UNLV or any other Nevada in-state institution, and they are eligible for the Millennium Scholarship, their high school counselor will reach out to them and let them know that they are eligible for the Millennium Scholarship. Okay, but how the Millennium Scholarship works, at least for like UNLV, is you can receive up to $2,400 annually in a year. Okay, so that's $1,200 max for a semester. At UNLV, how Millennium works is it pays up to $80 per credit. Okay, and you have to be full-time, so that's at least 12 credits. But you can get up to 15 credits worth of Millennium. So how the math works out, if you're in 12 credits, that's full-time, that's $80 times 12 credits. You can get a minimum of $960 for a semester. However, if your student is in 15 or more credits, if you do the math, $80 times 15 credits, there's where you get your $1,200 for the semester, okay? Again, high school counselor determines or will reach out to the student if they're eligible for Millennium or not. And you must activate the scholarship, okay? Lots of students forget this. We don't automatically accept the scholarship for them. The student has to acknowledge the scholarship themselves on the Nevada Treasurer's website, okay? Now, again, yes, how to use your scholarship, as I was mentioning, you have to be in full-time at least. At UNLV, that's 12 credits. Funds up to 15 credits for $1,200 per semester. And to maintain Millennium, as you know, in future college semesters, be sure to keep enrolling in full-time and be sure to maintain a 2.75 GPA, okay? And again, as a reminder, Millennium is only for if you are going to a Nevada college, okay? And if you want more information, this is a scholarship based out of the Nevada Treasurer's website. Okay, this is not a UNLV scholarship, this is a Nevada State Treasurer scholarship. Now, this is one of my favorite slides, external scholarships. I highly recommend taking a picture of this slide because lots of students, they just decide to either not apply for scholarships, they think they're not going to get any scholarships, they think, you know, what have you. But I'm here to tell you that that's just not the right mentality to go into. There's so many different types of scholarships out there, whether it be for certain hobbies, certain talents, whether you're part of a club, anything, okay? There's so many scholarships out there. This is just a short list of external scholarship websites that my office recommends. So I highly, highly recommend your students looking into external scholarships now. Lots of applications have opened today, October 1st. And a little bit more persuasion, if you're not already motivated. A little anecdote for you, okay? So I had a friend in college, she did the FAFSA, but her parents had made too much money to be eligible for any need-based aid, like the Pell Grant, for example, okay? And she didn't want to take out loans. Parents really weren't in the spot to really help the student. So her only option to go to UNLV was to apply for external scholarships, right? So what did she do? She applied to a bunch. She applied to probably 14 or 15 scholarships, right? Essays, letters of recommendation, the whole shebang. She applied to a bunch of them. She didn't get all of them. But she got a lot of them. She got maybe 8 or 9 external scholarships. And she almost got a full ride to UNLV solely from external scholarships alone, not even from FAFSA help, okay? That just shows you the power of external scholarships, okay? So my number one advice to students is to apply to many and apply early, okay? There's a bullet point down there, it says beware of scams. Of course, scams exist out there. General rule of thumb, if you have to pay to be eligible for a scholarship, it may be a scam, but just do your research and be careful. Now I'll talk a little bit about actual FAFSA aid, okay? Once you complete a FAFSA, you could be eligible for a number of things. The need-based grant is called the Pell Grant. The current annual amount, max, is $7,395. That's for a year. So if the student is eligible for the maximum need, then they could be eligible for about $7,400 in Pell Grant for the year. SEOG, that's up to $1,000 per year. That's a maximum need per student. Again, of course, as work study, the work on campus, student employment, the wages from that job, that is your financial aid. And then, of course, there are loans. Okay, for a first-year incoming student, they're eligible for up to $5,500 in loans for a year. That number will increase as the student progresses in their grade level. Okay, and of course, there are parent loans as well if you need those additional financial assistance, and the student loans weren't enough. Then there are parent loans for the parents to apply for. Now here we are, FAFSA, free application for federal student aid, right? It's free, so you should definitely apply to it, because why not? This determines your student aid index, abbreviated SAI. I like to think of the SAI as kind of the number that colleges look at to determine the student's financial need for those need-based aid, okay? The minimum SAI is negative 1,500. I don't know why it goes into the negative. I didn't make the system, but the max is negative 1,500. That'll give you the maximum financial aid. Anywhere from 0 to negative 1,500 will get you the maximum Pell Grant, but there's a whole range of SAIs. And again, the student must be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen to complete a FAFSA. The parent does not have to be a citizen to complete a FAFSA. And of course, you need everyone that contributes information to the FAFSA needs an FSA or studentaid.gov account. Okay, a contributor is someone that puts information on the FAFSA. Okay, so the student is a contributor, you are a contributor. Everyone that is a contributor needs an account. Okay, and this is how you make an account. Of course, like I said, every student contributor must have their own account. And that's okay. And we can go over that later. Now, this is a common question we get a lot. Who needs a student account? Whether it be a mixed marriage, in the family. If your parents are married and they file taxes jointly in 2024, okay, this FAFSA is going to use 2024 taxes. You only need one parent for this situation. If parents are unmarried but they are still living together, we're going to need both parents. If parents are married but they filed separately, not jointly but separately, then we'll need both parents. Right? We need income from the entire household. And then if parents are basically not living together, divorced, then we would need the parent who provides the most financial support over the past year prior to filling out the FAFSA. That's how to determine which parents to have on the FAFSA. Documents needed for the 2026-2027 FAFSA. Again, we're going to need social security numbers, everyone's social security number, or alien registration number if you're not a U.S. citizen. Federal tax records from 2024, okay? FAFSA in general takes 2-year prior tax information. So the 2026-2027 FAFSA is using 2024 taxes. All right? Records of one-tax income, and of course information on cash, savings, and checking account balances, and any investments, okay? Some common FAFSA errors, I see this all the time, almost every day in my office. Sometimes students put the wrong social security number in whether it be the FAFSA or their UNLV account. Very common mistake. UNLV or any school will not receive your FAFSA if your social is wrong. We use your social to connect to FAFSA. Okay, so if it's wrong, we're not bringing it in. Misspelling first and last names, incorrect dependency statuses, or basically just wrong parent information. Okay, common mistakes, totally normal, easy to fix. Primary deadline, again, November 15th. We're doing it early, so that's good. Once you do a FAFSA, once both the student and the parent submits their portions of the FAFSA, you will receive what's called a FAFSA submission summary. It may take a few days to actually process after submitting, but it's called a FAFSA submission summary. It's going to give you a quick rundown of what you may or may not be eligible for as far as federal aid. Now, we understand that there are special circumstances that happen. Maybe 2024 was a long time ago. Maybe the income for 2024 is not accurate to present day. That's what special circumstances are for. Maybe you lost your job in 2025, right? So we have no information on that. So my office has an appeal process where you can basically give us the documentation, explain to us what happened, why the information on the FAFSA may not be accurate to present day, and we can kind of reevaluate your FAFSA if you're not eligible for any need-based aid. Okay? And yeah, it's just some FAFSA, some applications. If you're going to UNLV, you're going to want to do two main forms. The FAFSA, of course, not this one. This one has been kind of absorbed into this one, the IAA, Institutional Aid Application. If your student wants to be eligible for UNLV scholarships, they have to do the IAA also by November 15th. Okay, very, very important. You have no idea how many students come to me and ask why I didn't get UNLV scholarships. They didn't do the IAA, or they did the IAA too late. Again, if you go to UNLV, please do these two things before November 15th. And I just mentioned that, yes, gotta do that. And how to stay connected. It's important to stay connected, right? You get information from emails from us. Check your personal and UNLV Rebel mails very regularly. Contact the admissions counselor, contact Seth if you have any questions. If you have any financial aid questions, ask him or ask me. You can visit us in this building or call this number, of course. Our main way of communicating with these students is called Rebel Success Hub. I have a few flyers here with me today. So if you want, you can come up to me and give you a flyer for the Rebel Success Hub. But other than that, I think that's it. So I say we can kind of get started unless anyone has any general questions right now for the room. Anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Is the time, like you're saying, priority deadline is November 15th. Is that the same? Is that just a UNLV thing, or is that for like all schools?
Fantastic question. As far as I know, it's for, that's all I know for UNLV. I'm not sure about any of the schools. That's why I would encourage you to reach out to them, reach out to their financial aid office, inquire with them about their priority deadlines. Again, very, very important. Okay, at least for UNLV, we care a lot about the private deadlines. I'm sure all the other colleges care just as much. Okay, good question. Any other questions before we hop in? Hearing and seeing none. We can get started. Has everyone already created their FSA IDs? Like, has already created an account? If not, I can quickly go over it. All you have to do, just go on your phone or your device, studentaid, one word, .gov, G-O-V. Once you're here, on the top right, you'll see two buttons, log in or create an account. You just go on to create account, and just click that big green blue button, or big blue button. You'll get started with all the questions, how to make an account. Really quick and easy. If you already have an account, that's fantastic. Just go ahead and get logged in to studentaid.gov. And typically, this may be a little bit interesting because typically we have the student start the FAFSA and then invite their parents. But since this is basically a room full of parents, I don't think, maybe your student has already started the FAFSA and has already invited you. Maybe you're just here for questions. But kind of, I think how we'll be doing this is I'll just be walking around. Just have it on your phone or your device. If you have any questions, just wave one of us down. We'll answer them for you. But this is basically how to get started. Studentaid.gov, log in, to actually start the FAFSA, up here, FAFSA form. There's going to be two. There's two open right now, okay? There's a 2025, 2026 FAFSA. That's the current FAFSA. So you don't want to do that one. You want to do this one, 2026, 2027 FAFSA. That's for fall 2026, spring 2027. Just start the new form. Select your parent, and then kind of, you can get started with the questions there. But yeah, I'll be walking around if you have any questions. Okay?